And good morning, everyone. How are you on this Friday? Robin, Diana, Lisa, good to see you. Glad everybody is here. Hopefully, we'll have people waking up because it's Friday. It's Friday and coming on in just a moment. Let me go ahead and read to you a little bit of Psalm 122 before we get started. I was glad when they said to me, "Let us go into the house of the Lord. Our feet have been standing within your gates, O Jerusalem. Jerusalem is built as a city that is compact together, where the tribes go up, the tribes of the Lord, to the testimony of Israel, to give thanks to the name of the Lord. The thrones are set there for judgment, the thrones of the house of David. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. May they prosper who love you. Peace be within your walls, prosperity within your palaces. For the sake of my brethren and companions, I will say, peace be within you. Because of the house of the Lord our God, I will seek your good." Amen. Amen. So, how is everybody on this Friday? Good morning, Paula, Bonnie. Good to see you. Glad that you're here. If you will, share out maybe those people who didn't get notification. It seems like sometimes on Friday, notifications, people tell me they're not getting notifications. Why Friday? I have no idea. But maybe YouTube is done with business on Thursday. And this is a holiday, so nonetheless. And so maybe they're just not paying attention today on this new government holiday on the 19th, which is tomorrow, of June. So anyway, but being the federal government, since the new holiday falls on a Saturday, we can celebrate it on Friday and get an extra day. You know how that goes. Hey, Judy, good morning. I got the notification right. I know, Robin, I think you're the only one that consistently gets the notification. Everybody else is like, maybe I do, maybe I don't. Kind of hit and miss, So anyway, all right, let's go with what's going on. So it seems like certain states, hey, Melanie, good to see you. Certain states are taking steps so that we can be assured that if we have any questions regarding our election, it won't really matter because we're not going to let anybody, do anything to help find out if there was something that went wrong. Makes sense, right? Hey, Robin Gailey, good to see you. Let's see. Good to see you too, James. Any good news? Yeah, I wish there was. Well, it's Friday. That's good news. That's always good news. Okay, good morning, Chessie. Good to see you. All right. So now, Colorado is said, the Secretary of State there says that they're banning third parties from accessing voting systems. So emergency election rules are in place, or that's what they're adopting. Kind of like the virus emergency election or emergency rules. They once put in place, the emergency just continues on and on. The emergency never goes away. So we live and exist in a hyper-vigilant state forever, right? So anyway, effective immediately, the new rules prohibit any third-party individual or vendor from accessing any component of a county's voting equipment in Colorado. My office just issued rules prohibiting sham election audits in the state of Colorado. This from a Democrat, of course. We will not state's election security nor perpetuate the big lie. Sham audits have no place in Colorado. I'm sure that tune wasn't being sung when Gore was between the election of Bush and Gore. I'm sure they welcomed an audit and wanted it overturned. Good morning, Tim Marvin. Good morning, Wayne Stewart. Go ahead and take tomorrow off. Thank you, Wayne. Good morning, Brian C. Good to see you. Chessie's home. That's good. So anyway, if it's the Republicans who are saying that something went wrong with the election, then it's a big lie. And we got to stop any audits. We don't want to prove anything. We don't want to know if it happened or not. We just want to take it at face value or their face value and leave it the way it is. Now, if we have another situation with hanging chads or whatever the case may be, of course, that will be reversed in the event that the Democrats feel that it should be reversed for them. And that's why it's an emergency, because that emergency can be lifted. I guess at that point, I don't know what we'll call it, maybe hyper emergency, catastrophe, and maybe that's a new category they will invent. Robin said, go to Corey Diggs' most recent YouTube video about social scoring and what we should do. All right. If you have a link you can give people, go ahead and put that in, Robin. That'd be great. All right. So let's continue on. Let's, if since we have a election talk here, we've got Georgia on our minds. Let's see what's happening in Georgia. I'm sure absolutely nothing. So anyway, in Georgia, hold on, let me get off the page there myself, and you'll have a bigger page. Georgia's investigators' notes reveal a massive election integrity problems in Atlanta. Oh, do tell. In a nationally televised interview in January, Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger rattled off an impressive list of measures his state used to ensure that the election was just perfect. But that rosy assessment, however, masked an ugly truth inside his agency's own files. A contractor handpicked to monitor election counting in Fulton County wrote a 29-page memo back in November outlining the massive election integrity failures and mismanagement that he witnessed in the Atlanta area's election centers. And, that was only in Atlanta. What about everything else? Why wasn't that ever brought forth back there in January, or November, December, January? We should revert to the barter system when possible. James, that's why groups are getting together and trying to figure out who will trade with them and buy from them and sell to them. Not a fan of Corey Diggs, Chesney said. Corey's links above. Don't see it. Not on there, so I don't know why it's not getting on there. Maybe YouTube is not allowing it to happen. Good morning, Stephanie Crow. Good to see you. All right, so let's go on. Also, one of the things I think that we can always be assured of, and especially it's been throughout history, but we're continuing to see it, and it is just a distraction, as you will know in a moment what I'm talking about. We always have the Republicans who, when they are in power, they talk about, we've got to come to an agreement. We've got to do everything bipartisan. We've got to reach across the aisle. We've got to work together. All right. When they're not in power, it's all about, when I get back in power, this is what I'm going to do. I pledge to you. And then when they get back in power, it's like, well, I know I pledged to you then, but this is now. And we're just going to go on as if I never said that. So anyway, what we have here, this is, they moved everything around on this. Kevin McCarthy, who basically vows to block Omar, that's Ilhan Omar, from being on the Foreign Affairs Committee if the GOP retakes the House in 2022. Ooh, wow, I don't know. That's just something there, Kevin. I don't know if the suspense and the anticipation of I'm going to be able to wait. I don't know. Diana said the marketplace in Clouthub to buy and sell. Yeah, if we could get people over to Clouthub, that networking market networking. I can't even remember it anymore. I haven't been there in so long because people weren't going there. And I'm just like, okay, well, I'm trying to put it together. But let me try to bring the group up for you and show you what that group is. It's the Marketplace Networking Group that I started. So far, we have about 72 members. Would like it to grow tremendously. And anybody that has a business or anything to do with the business could come in there and put your stuff there for all of us to see. Let me see if I can pull it up. Here's the Marketplace Networking Group. And this is a group where people can come together to discuss and market their products for sale. To disclaimer here a little, you agree to do all this and, you're doing it at your own risk, of course. But look at what Diana has. Women's linen tunics. Diana does great work, has a new machine that she can whip something up for you. She also designs jewelry. And, I mean, look at the things here. And Diana has been very good about putting things in here, I have to say. And I'm really glad that she does. So there's a lot of things that you can buy from her. Other people, I have stuff in there. I have printables. I have wreaths. I have different things that I do, and on and on. I mean, I would like to get people to be able to put their stuff in there, like, if you own a farm and you can sell meats to people or whatever the case may be, anything, go in there. My dad makes crappy jigs. Chezzy said I think you put that in the networking marketplace networking group. How arrogant of him to assume he would be speaker. I know, Judy. Well, of course, when you control everything, you are just able to plan for the future. 2022. Oh, if we take back the house, oh gosh, Kevin, that's going to make me going to run out. If I was undecided about who I should vote for, I'm certainly going to go back and vote for the Republicans now so they can get in power so Kevin can do what he says he's going to do. Whatever. James said the Republican Party needs to separate itself from the neocons and finally embrace libertarians. They're not going to. Just look at who is as strong against the virus. Rand Paul, DeSantis. Yeah, not going to happen. Not going to happen. It would have been my preference, the Republican Party, to fall away and bring on another party instead of the Republican Party, because the Republican Party is taken over by so many rhinos that it's incredible. That's my husband walking around down there that everybody can see. I have the door, but my husband's downstairs. So if you see a head bobbing around, that's my husband down there. Don't be alarmed. Nobody's in the house taking over. Diana, in your area in Tennessee, there are people who have farms who are already selling to people. So contact me by sending me an instant message or whatever. I can try to get you the contact name. And that if you want to do that and you're close enough, you'll be able to do that. So yeah, my husband forgets that the camera goes downstairs, so he can be seen walking around downstairs. So anyway, all right. So again, that's just one other thing that we need to do to be able to help ourselves, whether there's an emergency or not. We should be able to communicate with each other and buy and sell because we want to, and we don't want to necessarily buy and sell from the big food chains or whatever the case may be. Like I said, if Diana, who's a seamstress, right, can do all those things, why would you need to go other places? James Powell, good morning from South Florida. Hey, James. As I said, I have a prayer request. I'm struggling with fluid near my sacrum again. It's so painful. Please, everybody would pray for Chezzy. And that she would, everything would work out and just be healed for her. Okay, now here's another thing. I don't know if you know this, but I wanted to let you know the IRS loves you. Okay, so in case you were wondering, the IRS loves you. The IRS denies tax-exempt status to a Texas religious group, argues prayer, the fact that they pray, and that Bible study benefits the GOP. So, in other words, if you pray now for the Republican Party or anything of that nature, according to this article, you don't qualify as an organization under the 501c3 because they're saying you engage in prohibited political campaign intervention. So, it appears that if you pray for the leaders of your nation, then that's going to be what it doesn't, that, you're not exempt under 501c3. So don't pray for anybody except, I don't know, maybe pagan gods. And if you pray for the pagan gods, perfectly fine for the IRS. Just don't make it about any, your president, whether they be Democrat or Republican, especially Republican. Oh my gosh. And you don't want to pray for any leaders of your local community. Hey, Debbie McDaniel, good morning. Now that's funny. IRS loves you. Yeah, they do, Judy. They want you to know. Don't pray for them, but they do love you. Okay. So if you're a 501c3 and you're praying for the IRS, you may just get your tax exempt status taken away from you. So you want to be really careful about that. were in the letter, supposedly you're also not operated exclusively for one or more exempt purposes within the meaning of the 501c3, because you operate for a substantial non-exempt private purpose and for the private interest of the D party, which they said is referencing the Republican Party, according to legend Martin provided at the top of his letter. The Bible teachings are typically affiliated with the D party in candidates. This disqualifies you from exemption. Now, but if you're Black Lives Matter and you're talking about politics all the time, not a problem. You're not a problem. You've got some exemption, I'm sure. If you go out, let's say you riot, maybe burn down a building or two, you know, things happen. I guess you're still qualified under an exempt tax status. So just keep in mind a couple things. Don't pray. Don't mention any political party, even, you know, in your prayers, especially, for God's sakes. Don't stop praying and you'll be okay. So all of these people who are 501c3, the question is, I understand why. Hey, Sissy. Hey, Sharon, good to see you. Why are you doing this? Do you want to be under the IRS? And I understand you like your money and you want to have tax exempt. Doesn't everybody? But you're also having it stripped from you. Now, you can fight this all the way to the Supreme Court. I certainly would. But I'm just saying, wouldn't it be simpler, easier, even the churches? Isn't it time to come out from underneath the government who can tell you what to do because of your tax exempt status? I don't know. I just think it's time. But again, the IRS loves you and they are your friend. Just remember that. Okay. So also good news for once, I guess, depending on who you are and how you look at it, coming from the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court ruled for the Catholic agency, who said they're not going to work with possible same-sex couples when they are seeking foster parents. And let's see, Justice Roberts said that the group seeks only an accommodation that will allow it to continue serving the children of Philadelphia in a manner consistent with its religious beliefs. Wow. It does not seek to impose beliefs on anyone else. So, you know, let's kind of look at this. Sorry, I got distracted. We have huge hail coming down right now. Oh my gosh. That's in Kentucky, Robin said. I just read where the McCluskeys pled guilty and surrendered their guns. Yep, they pled guilty to a misdemeanor. Don't know why they did that. Don't know why they surrendered their guns, but that's what happened. So you can do all of that, but if you decide, if you're a baker and you don't want to bake because it's against your religious beliefs, right now, anyway, under a new case, tough luck for you. You have to bake that cake and with a smile on your face, right? So, and that one will surely have to go to the Supreme Court once again to make a decision on what happens there. If I were that guy in the bakery business, you know, at this point, you probably just want to hang it up if he could afford to do that. It's not worth all of the hassle that he's going through. I mean, it's obvious that they're targeting this man because he is a Christian. Otherwise, why would you care? Go to the Muslim bakery down the street and ask them to make your transgender cake for you. Simple. Problem solved. But no, you go in, not even to any other maybe Christian-owned, Buddhist-owned bakery, whatever. You go to this one guy because you have an itch for this one guy. And then, you know, who knows why? Is that the baker from Colorado? Yes, it is, Brian. Once again, we talked about that yesterday. Same guy. And this transgender person wanted him to make a transgender cake for them. Jules said the government is keeping guns, they're confiscated, but they can purchase new ones. Okay, cool. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, doesn't it, Jules? You know, in the world that we live in today, keep the guns at, you know, but you can go out and get new ones. Okay. Cost you a little bit more, but boy, did they solve the problem that they said they wanted to solve? Absolutely not. That's why the world is upside down. But, you know, you knew that. All right. I want to let you know That guy has been attacked so much. Proud of him for standing up to everything. Robin, he has to have God's strength behind him, because there's no way that you could keep going through this over and over again, year after year after year. And as we talked about yesterday, he even quit making wedding cakes, thinking, I'm just going to stop making wedding cakes so there won't be a controversy, so I don't have to go against my religious beliefs. And then here comes a person with a transgender cake, whatever that is, transgender celebration, whatever that is. Why you have a cake that symbolizes that, I don't know. But anyway, supposedly, when the complaint was filed, somebody lied, right? Because somebody said, the plaintiff said, well, I told him it was a birthday cake and he refused to make it because I'm a transgender. And the truth of the matter is, what came out later was the person told him, this is for my transgender, my whatever transition, and I'm celebrating it. And that's what the cake's for. And so he said, well, that's against my religious beliefs, so I can't do that. But they tried to make it look like, according to the allegations, that, this is just a birthday cake and he didn't want to make it for me because I am transgender. And as anybody who, if you've read any articles about this baker, he bakes stuff for everybody. He doesn't care. He's made things for gay people. He's made things for, people he doesn't even know who they are, what they are, or anything else. So, it's not that. It's basically, if they had such a thing for people, it's an entrapment is what it is. You go in, you say one thing to him, and then when you write your complaint, you say something different. It's ridiculous. I just heard on RTTV that Texas prisons have cleared for the immigrant surge. Oh, that's good, Debbie. Good to know. Yeah. And see, Texas pretty soon is going to be the new California. I know people in Texas think that's never going to happen. You kind of need to wake up to the fact that it is happening and you better do something about it. And I think Abbott's trying to. I don't know if he's doing it because of an election coming up for himself or what, but he's trying to do some things that will stop that. Jules said the government's keeping the okay, let's see. That baker could use our prayers, Judy said. He looks battle scared. Well, and can you blame him, Judy? I know you don't. And Jules said all of it is ridiculous. And Robin said definitely God's strength helping him. It absolutely has to. You can't go through years and years and years of abuse and somebody coming after you, and taking you through court system after court system and not feel just battle worn. So again, I wouldn't, to be honest, if I, we know, Susan, we're still trying to leave the union. I tell you, Chessie, whew. But if I were, and I can't say I'm not in those shoes, but if I were gay or transgender or any other whatever person, whatever it is, white, black, brown, whatever, I would go into a bakery and say, can you bake that cake for me? And if they look at me and say, no, I'm not going to bake that cake for you, I don't like white people. Well, that would tick me off. It really would. But you know what? It's food stuff. I wouldn't want you making my cake if you feel that way about me. I don't know what you're going to put in my cake if you feel that way about me. Would I sue? I don't know. If I had a bone, an axe to grind, whatever, maybe I would. But it wouldn't be for a setup. It would be because the person genuinely discriminated against me. And that doesn't appear to be the case with this baker ever. Good morning, Sally. Good to see you. So anyway, all right. So let's get back on what I was going to. I want you to know that a holiday is more important than your health, according to the federal government, by, the actions that I see. Why do I say that? Well, the CDC delays an emergency meeting on post-badge heart inflammation due to the new holiday. So there was a meeting scheduled today. An emergency, not something, that, hey, we'll just talk about it when we talk about it. An emergency, all right? On the post-badge heart inflammation problems that are being seen in America, primarily among its young people. But we're not gonna talk about that. I don't even know if it's been rescheduled. but we've got this new federal holiday. And because, we in the federal government, especially in Congress, oh my gosh, they just work and work and work. It's like they're always in the office. You never see them anywhere else. You don't see them on TV. You don't see them out campaigning. You don't see them running around in their states or going to different countries or, whatever. They're the nose to the grindstone right there at their desk in Congress, right? Right. So they're going to wait. They're going to push that off because we're going to go on a long weekend because of this new holiday, and we'll get to it. Whatever. Chessie said they ruined therapy, communism. Judy said, "Wow, yeah." Same thing is happening. Therapy and counseling. Going through school, you're targeted as a Christian. Yeah, because you're seen as somebody, Chessie, who won't be able to compartmentalize your own feelings, that you will put them on somebody else. And you may be radical enough to try to help somebody who, let's say, doesn't want to be a certain way, but you're not going to be allowed to talk to them about that. At least in California, you're not able to, if they want to change that, and that would be their decision, not yours, you're not going to be able to help them. So as a therapist, you can't help certain people that are asking for specific help from you. It sounds reasonable, right? People come to you for help, but you have to say, sorry, you don't need help, right? I'm saying that your feelings don't matter, right? I'm not going to help you if you want to do A, and the government says you can only do B. We're not going to talk about A, so get out. All right, now. How bad, how devastating is hate? Can hate really be something that causes a lot of issues, a lot of problems for people, can change things? Chessie said, I got in trouble for telling a client I prayed for them. I went to the Bible dean and president. Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, see, you see, Chessie, the thing of it is when you're praying for people, the IRS has already told you. If you want IRS, exempt status, you don't pray for certain people. Come on. So you should have known better to pray for people. Hey, I just want you to know that my grandson graduated yesterday from boot camp, serving in the U.S. Army. Please keep Jackson in your prayers. Congratulations, Debbie and Jackson, on a job well done. I wish the president was different for you, but it is what it is. And I'm sure that was your calling, Jackson. So congratulations. Brian said there was a congressman from New Jersey that was at a video hearing. He got up with his stomach poking out, wearing boxer shorts. Yes. Time to end video here. Brian, what it's time to do is for people to go back to being disciplined, learning what that means, being professional. We've gotten away from that. So Judy said, notice none of the national media are covering the riots in Minnesota. What riot, Judy? Riots in northern Minnesota due to a pipeline, riots in Minneapolis due to those 2 deaths. Well, I don't even know what you're talking about, Judy. I'm sure you're kind of, I think maybe you've got the wrong channel, because we certainly would be hearing about all of that on the mainstream media if it were true. Chessie said it's a Christian university. No, Chessie, it's a Christian university by name, but obviously they're not following biblical principles, right? I mean, from what you're saying, at least. All right. Now, hatred. Let's get back to hatred. How bad is hatred? Well, it's so bad that scientists say, yeah, we dismiss the virus lab leak theory for totally unscientific reasons. It was all because we hated Trump. We want to be lumped in there together with Trump. We didn't want to be in a conspiracy theory, even though there wasn't a conspiracy theory. That's what they believed. They were following the science, except they didn't follow the science. They just hated Trump so bad that they just said, nah, and made Trump look like a fool, which apparently he wasn't a fool after all. But, and will that be explained in the mainstream media? Will it ever be said that President Trump did X, Y, and Z and he was correct? No. Yep, it's all in your mind, Judy. I know, Susan, I told them I'd rather, it'd be better for them to change their name. I'm sure that went over well. But I'm sure the IRS loves them just the way they are. Okay. Now, for all of you who are still believing that President Trump is going to be back in office in the White House in August, because that's what you've been told, there will be more fuel for the fire for you, because Maricopa County audit report is not expected until August. Oh, and I can just hear the people now going, you know what? And the people, by the people, I mean those people who focus on a particular letter of the alphabet. I can see them right now saying, see, I told you. It's going to happen all at the same time. We're going to have that report come out in August, and it's going to exonerate everything, and President Trump's going to be right back in the White House. Woohoo! Can't you just hear it? I'm serious. Can't you just hear that? So I don't know what's taking so long, other than, you know, they're preparing for President Trump to go back in office. But it said that Cyber Ninjas, which was hired by Arizona state auditors, are working on evaluating ballots after finishing their ballot recount. Less than 100 Braille ballots, and it's supposed to wrap up by the end of June. So why it's taking so long for them to write a report based on what they found, that's what it's going to be. And, you know, again, come August, we might have somebody else in the White House, right? And it may not be who you think it is in the White House or who you're hoping it will be. That's so crazy to release in August. Yeah, Robin, but, you know, we're still waiting for that other report that was supposed to be the Durham report. Wasn't that last October? So anyway, you know how it goes. When you're in the government, you can just change your mind on things. So how good is the economy? Oh my gosh. I'm so glad that you asked, because I'm sure you know the answer, that the economy, and yes, I'm being very sarcastic today, and we are also past the halfway point. If you could share, retweet, that would be great. So how good is our economy? Let me tell you, our economy, with the moratorium, let's see, so many ads, my goodness. With the moratorium ending, more than 8 million households face foreclosure or evictions. But I'm expecting any day now that somebody in this government is going to come out and say, don't worry about it. You don't have to pay. Just go on about your business. It's going to be free. And if they don't, can you imagine what's going to happen with 8 million people who are facing foreclosures and evictions, and no way to pay for that? Who's going to pay for that? Who's going to pay for that? Come on, 12 guesses. And the first 11, I'll give you one. First 11 don't count. All right, so that's how good our economy is. And for you people who are in Michigan, oh my gosh, you must just love your governor. And you're going to love your governor even more, because she's come out now and said that the full Michigan reopening is going to be ahead of schedule. You lucky people, you're going to be 1 week in advance. It's going to end on the 22nd of June, more than a week ahead of schedule. I mean, can you believe that? It's time to put this whatever behind us, okay? So if stay, both indoor and outdoor settings will increase to 100% capacity, and individuals will no longer be required to wear a veil in the state, although individual businesses may still impose their own mandates, she said in a news release. So they were supposed to reopen July 1, but today is a day that we have all been looking forward to, except me. I've been out with my husband in his boat, and we've gone to Florida while we shut down this state. But anyway, she said today's a day that we've all been looking forward to, as we can safely get back to normal day-to-day activities and put this behind us. We owe a tremendous, tremendous, tremendous debt of gratitude to the medical experts and health professionals who stood on the front lines to keep us all safe. You know, the ones that were being laid off because there wasn't enough business in the hospitals going on, because there weren't enough patients in the hospital to keep them going. You know, oh, she left that out. Sorry, that was my ad-libbing. And we are incredibly thankful to all of the essential workers who kept our state moving, not you churches, because we all know you're not essential in the state of Michigan, but, you know, other people. Yeah, like you, Wayne. Is it me? Yes. It's hard not to believe they want a confrontation. True, Judy, it is, but, you know. But again, you people in Michigan, you're just so lucky. Just like us in California. Oh, and by the way, you remember when we talked about those bands that go on your wrist? It's called a Muniband, I think, or something. I can't remember the name of it. We talked about it weeks ago. California already using those bands. They're going to start wanting other people to use those wristbands too. It's going to have all of your information in there about all of the shots that you've taken, or you know, whatever. And that way, if the businesses want to, they can scan everything. You know, you could have all of your private information just out there for a concert you may want to go to, a grocery store, you know, things of that nature. Sissy said, everything is so crazy. Ugh, stop the world. I want to get off. No kidding, Sissy. I think it's obvious that the government is non-essential, Stephanie said. Oh, Stephanie, we can't say that about our government. We all know that we have to bow down to the government because, you know, we just do. Okay. More information. I agree, Stephanie. Yeah, no kidding. Good move, Sissy. Okay, so 7,000 affidavits are delivered to the Michigan lawmakers claiming election fraud. Well, that can't be. Of course, there was no fraud in Michigan, but 7,000 people are concerned about the integrity of the election that happened in November. And thousands of Michigan voters have questioned the integrity of the election. If we do a deep dive forensic audit similar to Arizona, it will do either one or two things, he said. This is a conservative coalition spokesman, Matt Seeley. It will prove that all the politicians who say there's nothing to see there, that they were right. Or it could prove that there's a big problem with the integrity of our elections and that we need to address it in a major way. Oh, you conspiracy theorists, you. Come on. You know that nothing happened anywhere. It's all above board. You can see by watching this president and how he conducts business that everything is fine. Everybody loves him. Oh my gosh. Could you not? Why would you not love him? Obviously, millions of people voted for him. Okay. So this is in the category now of say it isn't so. We have so many things that we look at and that we said we can totally trust these days. But when something comes up, you're like, oh my goodness, say it isn't so. Robin's got her angry or sick and sad face. Like, is that is greed with envy? No, that's not greed with envy. All right. So, this must be something's wrong with the title here. It says Royal Caribbean delays cruise ship after 8 crew members test positive for the virus. How can that be possible? Because all 1,400 crew member, as it says here, on board the Odyssey of the Seas got a badge on June 4th and will be considered fully badged on June 18th. That's today. That's today. But for some reason, they all got sick. Have you heard about the giant statue that you speak and sing? Oh, yes. It's called the Giant. And we talked about that, Liz. We talked about that several weeks ago in here. And it is a 16 feet high or whatever that you can put your face on it, anybody else's face on it. It moves. And it's already here. So, you know, this is the Liz, this is an aside. You know, they say like when the Antichrist comes on the scene, you'll know this doesn't have anything to do with what we're talking about, but you just made me think about this. That everybody will see, you'll see the image of the Antichrist. I don't know, maybe like 16 feet high. I'm just saying. And it'll be moving around and people will be bowing to it and everybody will believe in I don't know. Like I said, Liz, it had nothing to do with what you said. I was just thinking out loud. Anyway, I've always believed it's best to get the truth out where the election is concerned. I paused. Judy said, I bet they'll all get the badge. They all did get the badge, Sally, all 1,400 crew member. God is moving fast, Judy said. Yeah, at lightning speed, like the Wizard of Oz. Yes, Sally. So, I mean, can you imagine something that tall maybe being erected in every place around the world or does it need to be? We got the internet, doesn't have to be, so that everybody could see the image all at the same time. And everybody will have to worship. If you want food, if you want, healthcare, if you want this, that, and the other. But again, Liz, and I'm sarcastic, Liz, in things that I say. But again, Liz, I'm just saying it had nothing to do with what you were talking about. It just came to my mind. Okay. So anybody out there looking to buy a car, because I can tell you what car company you probably want to go to in order to buy a car. This just came out. The GM is considering dropping a pot test in order to attract more workers. The company is struggling to hire enough temporary workers for the summer. So, what are we going to do? We're just going to drop that whole requirement that you have to pass a pot test. Maybe you can take a break and after you've assembled a few cars together, go out and have a smoke, come on back in and let's get back to work. So if you're looking for a summer job and you don't think you can pass a pot test, maybe you could just go to GM and try to get a job over there. Yes, new vet, Wayne said. Yeah, glad I can't afford new vehicles. Yeah, and maybe you should buy a new vehicle again because, you're really losing money anyway. All right. Now, one of the things that people worry about is being discriminated against. Robin said, yeah, I'll run right out and get one of their cars if they do that. Who cares if it's not made right? Well, who cares if the brakes don't work, Robin? Come on. I mean, just light up and forget all about it. It won't matter. So anyway, people worry about, okay, with this, everybody being crazy about the badge and no badge and discrimination, what's going to happen? Well, don't worry, there's more further discrimination coming. And let's see what that's all about. The unbadged West Point cadets are facing growing and severe retaliation. So if you don't get the badge, you're going to be discriminated against. And there's about 36 people at West Point who, amongst the 4,500, who don't have it, and they're being discriminated against. So there stricter quarantines, other restrictions. Now that the height of the, well, we're really not at the height of it. So there you go. You're going to have new rules or more restrictive than before available to you. A pot test can be positive when people aren't. That's true, Nana. People can smoke on the weekend, not a work day, go to work sober and still test positive. That's true, Nana. But also people on pot can have memory loss if they are longtime users. They can also have slower responses, Nana. So that also is a factor when you're making something on an assembly line that you have to maybe take into consideration. I expect Disneyland to stop during testing their maintenance employees next. Stop drug testing. Yeah, why not, Stephanie? You drive it until all the electricity runs out. There you go, Sally. Yep. So anyway, now also here's what I was getting, the point I was getting at about the discrimination between not between badged and unbadged, but between what kind of badge that you have. So the discrimination goes even further. So let me bring that up and show you why. Fans with a certain type of badge are not going to get into Springsteen on Broadway. So you know how they've been saying that if you have gotten the badge, you can get in anywhere. Well, not so fast, because you're not going to get in if you're wearing a certain badge. So now the discrimination goes even farther than just whether you're badged or unbadged. Okay, so there you go. That's the Friday news for you. The Friday news that you just want to hear. That's why Fridays are so good, because after the show, I forget all about what was talked about during the week, and I don't have to think about it anymore. Who wants to see him anyway? Exactly. Ah. Dana, I know how many people use cannabis. I know that the good effects on some people and the health reasons that they take cannabis. I get that. But I also know of the other people who don't view cannabis the way you do, in meaning that they don't use it the way they should use it. And they're, what they used to call potheads, because they smoke all the time. And I've seen children as young as 12 years old who have short-term memory loss because of the amount of pot that they're smoking every day. Because why? They're self-medicating. So there's good and bad, but I don't think that there are people who should be on a job in an assembly line, or a doctor or a nurse or a police officer, or 100 other different people that I can think of, that should be smoking pot or have it in their systems when they're doing their job. And same thing I feel about alcohol. And, so we just have a difference of opinion. That's all. I know there's good and bad and everything. And I'm just talking right now about some of the reasons that in those industries, especially, why it's a bad idea. Okay. We are Genesis chapter 16. Now, Sarai, Abram's wife, had borne him no children, and she had an Egyptian maidservant whose name was Hagar. Sarai said to Abram, "Restrain me from bearing children. Please go into my maid. Perhaps I shall obtain children by her." And Abram heeded the voice of Sarai. Then Sarai, Abram's wife, took Hagar, her maid, the Egyptian, and gave her to her husband Abram to be his wife. Abram had dwelt 10 years in the land of Canaan. So he went to Hagar, and she conceived, and now that she had conceived, her mistress blazed in her eyes. Then Sarai said to Abram, my wrong be upon you. I gave my maid into your embrace, and when she saw that she had conceived, I became despised in her eyes. The Lord judged between you and me. So Abram said to Sarai, "Indeed, your maid is in your hand. Do to her as you please." And when Sarai dealt harshly with her, she fled from her presence. Now the angel of the Lord found her by a spring of water in the wilderness, by the spring on the way to Shur. And he said, "Hagar, Sarai's maid, where have you come from, and where are you going?" She said, "Fleeing from the presence of my mistress Sarai." The angel of the Lord said to her, "Return and submit yourself under her hand." Then the angel of the Lord said to her, "I will multiply your descendants exceedingly, so that they shall not be counted for multitude." And the angel of the Lord said to her, "Behold, you are with child, and you shall bear a son. You shall call his name Ishmael. Because the Lord has heard your affliction, he shall be a wild man. His hand shall be against every man, and every man's hand against him, and he shall dwell in the presence of all his brethren." Then she called the name of the Lord who spoke to her, "You are the God who sees." For she said, "Have I also here seen him who sees me?" Therefore the well was called Bir Lahai Roi. Observe, it is between Kadesh and Berid. So Hagar bore Abram a son, and Abram named his son, whom Hagar bore, Ishmael. Abram was 86 years old. Hagar bore Ishmael to Abram. We did read this yesterday, but I wanted to pick up so everybody would kind of know where we were. Okay. When Abram was 99 years old, the Lord appeared to Abram and said to him, I am Almighty God. Walk before me and be blameless. And I will make my covenant between me and you and will multiply you exceedingly. Then Abram fell on his face, and God talked with him, saying, As for me, behold, my covenant is with you, and you shall be a father of many nations. No longer shall your name be called Abram, but your name shall be Abraham. For I have made you a father of many nations. I will make you exceedingly fruitful, and I will make nations of you, and kings shall come from you. And I will establish my covenant between me and you and your descendants after you in their generations, for an everlasting covenant to be God to you and your descendants after you. Also, I give to you and your descendants after you the land in which you are a stranger, all the land of Canaan as an possession, and I will be their God. And God said to Abraham, As for you, you shall keep my covenant, you and your descendants after you throughout the generations. This is my covenant, which you shall keep between me and you and your descendants after you. Every male child among you shall be circumcised, and you shall be circumcised in the flesh of your foreskins, and it shall be a sign of the covenant between me and you. He who is 8 days old among you shall be circumcised, every male child in your generations. He who is born in your house or bought with money from any foreigner who is not your descendant. He who is born in your house and he who is bought with your money must be circumcised. And my covenant shall be in your flesh for an everlasting covenant. And the uncircumcised male child who is not circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin, that people shall be cut off from his people, he has broken my covenant. Then God said to Abraham, As for Sarai, your wife, you shall not call her name Sarai, but Sarah shall be her name. And I will bless her and also give you a son by her. Then I will bless her, and she shall be a mother of nations. Kings of people shall be with her. Then Abraham fell on his face and laughed and said in his heart, Shall a child be born to a man who is 100 years old? And shall Sarah, who is 90 years old, bear a child? And Abraham said to God, Oh, that Ishmael might live before you. Then God said, No, Sarah, your wife, shall bear you. You shall call his name Isaac. I will establish my covenant with him for an everlasting covenant, and with his descendants after him. And as for Ishmael, I have heard you. Behold, I have blessed him and will make him fruitful and will multiply him exceedingly. He shall beget 12 princes, and I will make him a great nation. But my covenant I will establish with Isaac, whom Sarah shall bear to you at this set time next year. Then he finished talking with him, and God went up from Abraham. So Abraham took Ishmael his son, all who were born in his house, and all who were bought with his money, every male among the men of Abraham's house, and circumcised the flesh of the foreskins that very same day as God had said. Abraham was 99 years old when he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin, and Ishmael his son was 13 years old when he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin. That very same day, Abraham was circumcised, and his son Ishmael. And all the men of his house, born in the house or bought with money from a foreigner, were circumcised with him. Then the Lord appeared to him by the terebinth tree of Mamre, as he was sitting in the tent door in the heat of the day. So he lifted his eyes and looked, and behold, 3 men were standing by him. And when he saw them, he ran from the tent door to meet them and bowed himself to the ground and said, My Lord, if I have now found favor in your sight, do not pass on by your servant. Please let a little water be brought and wash your feet and rest yourselves under the tree. And I will bring a morsel of bread that you may refresh your hearts. After that, you may pass by, inasmuch as you have come to your servants. They said, Do as you have said. So Abraham hurried into the tent of Sarah and said, Quickly make ready 3 measures of fine meal, knead it and make cakes. And Abraham ran to the herd, took a tender and good calf, gave it to a young man, and he hastened to prepare it. So he took butter and milk and the calf which he had prepared and set it before them, and he stood by them under the tree as they ate. Then he said to him, Where is Sarah, your wife? And he said, Here in the tent. And he said, I will certainly return to you according to the time of life, and behold, Sarah, your wife, shall have a son. Sarah was listening in the tent door, which was behind him. Now Abraham and Sarah were old, well advanced in age, and Sarah had passed the age of childbearing. Therefore Sarah laughed within herself, saying, After I have grown old, shall I have pleasure, my Lord being old also? And the Lord said to Abraham, Why did Sarah laugh, saying, shall I surely bear a child since I am old? Is anything too hard for the Lord? At the appointed time, I will return to you according to the time of life, and Sarah shall have a son. But Sarah denied it, saying, I did not laugh, for she was afraid. And he said, No, but you did laugh. Oh, I love God. Then the men rose from there and looked toward Sodom, and Abraham went with him to send them on their way. And the Lord said, Shall I hide from Abraham what I am doing? Since Abraham shall surely become a great nation, and all the nations of the earth shall be blessed in him. For I have known him in order that he may command his children, his household after him, that they keep the way of the Lord to do righteousness and justice, that the Lord may bring to Abraham what he has spoken to him. And the Lord said, Because the outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah is great, and because their sin is very grave, I will go down now and see whether they have done altogether according to the outcry against it that has come to me, and if not, I will know. Then the men turned away from there and went toward Sodom, but Abraham still stood before the Lord. And Abraham came here and said, Would you also destroy the righteous with the wicked? Suppose there were 50 righteous within the city. Would you also destroy the place and not spare it for 50 righteous that were in it? Far be it from you to do such a thing as this, to slay the righteous with the wicked, so that the righteous should be as the wicked. Far be it from you. Shall not the judge of all the earth do right? So the Lord said, If I find in Sodom 50 righteous within the city, then I will spare all the place for their sakes. Then Abraham answered and said, Indeed now I who am but dust and ashes have taken it upon myself to speak to the Lord. Suppose there were 5 less than 50 righteous, destroy all this for lack of 5. So he said, If I find there 45, I will not destroy it. And he spoke to him yet again, and said, Suppose there would be 40 found there. So he said, I will not do it for the sake of 40. Then he said, Let not the Lord be angry, and I will speak. Suppose 30 should be found there. And so he said, I will not find 30 there. And he said, Indeed now I have taken it upon myself to speak to the Lord. Suppose 20 should be found there. So he said, I will not destroy it for the sake of 20. Then he said, Let not the Lord be angry, and I will speak but once more. Suppose 10 should be found there. And he said, I will not destroy it for the sake of 10. So the Lord went his way as soon as he had finished speaking with Abraham, and Abraham returned to his place. I love God's sense of humor too. I just love it. Like, you didn't think that I heard you? Come on now. Anyway. All right, Tim, you have a great weekend. Everybody have a great weekend. And if you would, please share this with everyone. That would be great. God willing, we will see you back here on Monday, unless the rapture comes, and that way I'll see you at a different place. But anyway, have a great weekend. I'll give you like a minute to talk to each other on the way out, and we'll see you back here on Monday. Take care.